welcome back to our series on WinCC Unified. Today I'm going to be showing how to create faceplates in WinCC Unified, which is a reusable object that allows you to create multiple instances in your screens and then have one place to update them if you want to make changes. This is a concept that existed in WinCC Comfort and Advanced, but there's some updates with WinCC Unified, and I wanted to point them out. So I'm going to start from my project that I had created in my previous series. We had connections to a 1200 PLC, a 1500, and a Rockwell, and I'm going to show how these faceplates will work for both the Rockwell and the Siemens. So to start, I wanted to kind of refresh or let you know that faceplates exist in kind of an alternate area than your TIA portal project. It's in the project library, and so it is like a revisioned kind of object that can be dragged into multiple HMIs if you wanted, and then when you made that update, it would propagate to all of the HMI instances. So when you go in, you're going to add a new type and click faceplate, and then make sure you select WinCC Unified. This kind of indicates that if you make a faceplate for Unified, it's not going to work in Comfort or Advanced. So I'm going to call this machine control, and I actually reorganized my tags from previous project so that I have a speed, a run status, and a name. And we're going to be creating a faceplate that looks at the machine name and can control the speed. So I guess I'll call it machine speed control. Okay, and when you do this, it creates like a alternate development environment, and you'll see that swipe over. Okay, so to get back, you click this little arrow on the left. Okay, so now we have this version that is in work. You have a toolbox, and this is where you create your objects, and then you have tag interface and property interface. And just so you're aware, I had this little banner here that is like a version thing, and I didn't know where this was at first, because if you're familiar with WinCC Comfort, it's actually kind of like a slide up type thing in the middle, and so I couldn't find it. So if this is up here, make sure you close that, and then you go to tag interface. And what tag interface is that when you're creating these objects, you're going to have kind of local tags inside your faceplate, and then when you drag them onto your screen or create an instance, you're going to connect your HMI tags to actually go inside the reusable objects. So this is where you define what your local tags will be. You use them in your graphics, and then when you actually deploy it, that's where you connect your communication for your actual PLCs. And then the last one, which I am not going to go so much into in this one, is property interface, which allows you to kind of make changes to like colors, labels, things like that to make your faceplate more reusable and flexible. Okay, so to start, I'm going to add the connection for machine name, and so it's not confusing, I'm going to just call it name here. And then speed, and that will be a real. Okay, go back here. And what I'm going to do is this will display the name of the machine for this instance. So for example, in our 1200 PLC, let's say that the machine name was packaging. In our Rockwell PLC was filler. So what we want it to do is to show the value for whichever instance you're connected to. So by default, this is going to show that, but then we're going to go in and make it dynamic with a tag. And now this is where you're not going to see your project tags, you're going to see the tag interface that you just created. Okay, and then we're also going to add a slider to control the speed. Make it dynamic, tag, speed. Okay, so when we have this, we're just going to be able to drag this up and down, and it's going to display our string name. Before we kind of bring this into our screen though, I do want to make this smaller. You can see that there's this box here. That's like if you don't change anything with that and you drag it into a screen, it's going to show this entire box. So let's go and just click on the background there. And you can make it transparent. I'm going to actually just make it a slightly different color than our screen so that we can kind of just see where the boundary is. So maybe this one. All right. So, like I said before, this is kind of like a revisioned object in a library. So, what we want to do to use it, we want to release the version. And then what it does is like, let's say we make a change, you'll see the version number go up. And if you were, let's say you have a bunch of these standard faceplates for your company, you would want to, be making sure that you use the right versions or like go and upgrade all of them at once. So, but right now we're not going to worry about that too much. So, you can either right click here and release version, or you can go to the top where that bar was and say release version. I can make a comment. Okay, now to go back to our project, click the caret. Okay, I'm going to open up my screen and then just drag in my instance. Okay, and to actually connect it to a tag to the PLC now, we're going to go down to interface, which might be collapsed, and then go to name, and then we have our selection of names. Let's say this is the 1200 instance. Okay. Speed, the 1200, and then I'm going to make one for the Rockwell one. And we'll update this name to the Rockwell. Okay. Okay, let's see if this compiles. Great. Save that, download. All right, so looks like we have a connection here already. So let's go check the 1200 one. So I'm going to go over here. It looks like I don't have a string name right now. That's right. All right, 1200. I think I said it was a packaging machine. Okay, great. The speed is 10. Cool. And then let's go over to our Rockwell version. All right, 20 and 1. Oh, it looks like I don't have quite enough characters there. I'll probably have to go up and update that, but I'm just for the point of demonstration, I'm not going to. And let's increase the speed. Oops. Yep, it looks like it's good. Awesome. All right, so that was a really quick demonstration of using reusable objects called faceplates in WinCC Unified. I connected both to a Siemens PLC and a Rockwell PLC, so standard for many different machine types. It allows you to make very flexible projects that are easy to change and deploy. So check out faceplates. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.